Time effects are another category entirely of ways to manipulate your audio. They don't work by changing the frequency content or the amplitude or the dynamic range of your sounds directly, but by changing their position in time, or more commonly by creating time-shifted copies which interact in interesting ways to produce a variety of useful results. The best starting point here is probably delay, which duplicates the audio signal and delays the copy by a certain amount of time. Feedback controls the amount of the delayed signal which is fed back into the input of this effect. High values can, of course, create echoes which repeat for a long time. Different combinations of feedback, delay time, and mix level with the dry signal can create very different effects, from tight slapbacks to cavernous space echoes. And the tone knob can shape the colour further. A tempo sync delay can turn a simple melody into a complex creative texture. And using the pan and bounce controls can position the echoes wider in the stereo field. Duck is an additional control which turns down the wet signal when the input or dry signal is loud. This can help keep big, complex delays from overwhelming a vocal or other important part that needs to be heard over its own tail. And if we understand delay, we'll also understand dual delay, which is just two delays in the same module. One has its delay time expressed as a ratio of the other. The crosstalk control allows the two delays to bleed into one another for more diffuse and complex results. This effect covers a popular use of delays in stereo and allows us to somewhat bridge the gap to reverb. At its core, an algorithmic reverb like this one is a system of many delays which interact in complex enough ways that our brains no longer hear the distinct individual repeats of the sound, but instead a kind of cloud of ambience. This can be a tight, short room sound, or a spectacular hall. But it's all done by delaying and extending the input sound in time. Reverser also creates delayed repeats of defined sections of the sound, but it plays them in reverse for a creative twist. Another effect that's secretly using delays is resonator. It creates delays short enough that the repeated sections of sound are interpreted by our brains as audible notes, waves with their own audible frequency. This can make a specific frequency resonate, or we can modulate it with the MIDI note modulator to have the frequency depend on the note we're playing. This is one of my personal favourite things in Faceplant because it's a kind of secret extra style of synthesis, a type of physical modelling called Karplus Strong, which can make some beautiful, very natural string sounds. And one last simple time effect is Haas, named after the scientific phenomenon it emulates, which delays the left or right side of a sound just enough to make a mono input sound stereo, by tricking your ears into thinking it's coming from whichever direction hears it first. A useful little tool for positioning sounds in your mix. Now let's move on to another set of effects which are also strictly speaking time effects, but their use cases are a little different.